Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Xavier Rodriguez with Thrivent. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Shravan Kasarla, Chief Data Officer at Thrivent, on a very interesting topic of emerging technologies and its influence on data management and analytics strategies. It's very nice to speak with you, Shravan.
Thank you, Savio.
First, I'd like our
Again,
listeners to hear more about the business of Thrivent and your role.
thank you. No, I think it's important to know that goodness of Thrivent to everybody. So Thrivent is a Fortune 500 diversified financial service organization. I think we lead with advice and investments, insurance, banking, and especially generosity programs and solutions. And that's what sets us apart is a complete suite of products which are also really anchored on the generosity and some service to the community. And we've been highly rated, again, financially very stable and highly rated organization within the industry or within the United States, we call it. And we do have, $162 billion of assets under management and a very strong balance sheet with a huge surplus. And of course, we've been a Fortune 500, about a $9.4 billion in our revenue. Another one which sets apart Thrivent, I want to really call this out, is again, this is where I talked about bringing Thrivent's goodness to more people, is our members have really volunteered 12.8 million hours of community service just in 2022. So that's the way that Thrivent, I think the blending the financial services, the products and offerings and the advice through with generosity, and that's what really results in is the community impact.
No, thank you for sharing that. And that is so impressive, Shravan. And it's so nice to see all of this work that Thrivent itself is doing and the support that it's getting. With the adoption of emerging technologies like AI and machine learning, among others, can influence a lot of data management and analytics strategies. So, in your role as the chief data officer, if you can outline some key components of your data management and analytics roadmap for the next 1 to 3 years, and how do you plan to execute on them?
Sure. Let's start with the data management first, and what's our roadmap? Because I believe any emerging technologies, right, whether it is generative AI, or digital, I think all of them are rooted end of the day in data. Having a solid data foundation is what really makes any one of them successful. I think we saw when ChatGPT was released that some of the hallucinations and everything that goes back to the data itself, the data and its how we prepared it and how we created it. So I mean, coming back into that, right? As the data office, as a lead the data office, as chief data officer, I have responsibility over the data strategy to delivery to the governance and also enabling some of the emerging technologies or let's call it classical AI or generative AI among all the other things to provide the technology foundation as well along with the data and the data management. And our goal, like we consider like there are three major components of our strategy. Number one, expanding the data availability, because you can only create data as a platform or data for common consumption is by having a breadth and depth of data, breadth of all the business and functions and products and services that we provide, and really a good breadth along with that. Our goal is to enable self-service. We don't want to be in the business of the past data warehousing that tell us your requirements and we want to create the next data mart or now modify this, but rather make that trusted foundational data available for anybody to use in our business, however they see and what are use cases they're applying to. And with that, I know this is a multi-year journey. We are progressing. I think we went through a refresh of our data strategy, and we are progressing on building our what we call it enterprise data foundation. But our goal is to scale insights and power data-driven digital experiences for Thrivent. That's our goal. And that's why we root ourselves in having that strong foundation, strong data foundation itself to enable any of these experiences, whether it is to our clients or to our advisors, or providing our business a better way of automating what they're doing. So that's our in a probably a little bit longer, not a nutshell necessarily, but our data strategy and roadmap is all about.
No, thank you so much again for sharing that. It's so important to have a strong foundation aspect, and it's so good to see all that the works that you're lining up in that context. How would you strike a balance between self-service analytics and centralized data governance through all of this?
Great question. Let's go to the uh, data governance itself and how data governance is generally approached until now versus where we are pivoting or where we are attempting to really make this a business enablement strategy as opposed to governance. So I think self-service, while self-service is the means of how we want to deliver, we're not saying that self-service from anywhere you want. The data is still in a data foundation, which is governed right from the get-go, meaning we are building data quality. We're building the describability of the data, meaning whether it is definitions which are needed, which are the whatever the discoverability needed. So we are making data very understandable right from the get-go. If you look at data governance role are you using is this the right data for you? Are you using it for the right purposes? And what is the outcomes that you're applying? Are they in compliance with any regulation or the responsibilities or commitments that we have for our clients? So if that's what it is, we are building that any of these capabilities or that kind of a discipline right into as we build the data foundation. We don't want to build a data foundation or a data lake and oh now let's implement governance, but rather we are trying to build it in through that one through a set of playbooks that we have that as we are building, as we are populating the data, as we are preparing the data for multiple purposes we are applying. Another one I see is that while data governance as a function is still an important one, but it is more going to be in tune with the business enablement or the capability enablement through the data foundation, as opposed to top down of I have a domain, I have set of data stewards, now I want to start implementing data governance and definition for every single term. You still need that, but the sequence of sequencing and prioritization is whatever business capabilities we are getting enabled, how we are populating the data foundation will go and address the governance needed at that point. So it is more of an active data governance, which is rooted in enablement. So that's how we are balancing it right now.
Thanks for sharing, Shravan. And I think implementing all of this, governance across the board needs a lot of collaboration, with other departments, which is very, very crucial for the success of data initiatives. Would love our listeners to know, how do you foster a data-driven culture across the organization and encourage data literacy among employees?
I mean, that's a big question. And I call that is the biggest agenda that any data chief data officer would have, or anybody who's leading data. Again, I think creating a data culture is not a one-day exercise or here is an event. It's not an event. I see that as a continuous journey. So how we are going about it is, as I mentioned, I mean, creating that common data foundation and bringing all the stakeholders to start understanding that roadmap, understanding what data is going in, how this should be utilized. Let's call that to be the data literacy, as well as bringing everybody's needs into a foundational, let's call it foundational platform or into the foundation itself. I think that's definitely one way of doing it is really creating that kind of a asset that everybody now the access to that through the self-service that we wanted, right? We want to give access to the data wherever they want, whatever they want to use with it, as opposed to creating only one specific data structure that is might be only meeting few needs. So two ways that we are trying to create that collaboration is one through how we are approaching our data ecosystem itself. Then the second is we have established, I mean, we adopted product model as a company. So we are, all the data capabilities, enterprise data capabilities are within the product model. The fundamental principle or fundamental, differentiator of the product model with other type of operating models is client needs at the center of anything that you're building. So that is now bringing our clients and stakeholders together and have a both influence and a voice and in the data foundation and the capabilities that we are building, not just data foundation. I know I'm probably overusing the word data foundation, but the capabilities that we are building. So that's one other way of collaboration. Then there are two other constructs we put together is we established a working group of key stakeholders across, which come from reporting, analytics, business operations, and digital experiences. They all are part of what we call it, how do we sequence our roadmap so that while we are building these capabilities for the longer term, we are meeting these needs that are there today. So that's another way that we are creating collaboration. And we go at a higher level, at the executive level of collaboration, also what we call it data and analytics leadership council. So that council is a influencing body, decision making body to ensure that we are able to now, as a company, not just for each division, as an enterprise, we're able to prioritize. So I think these are various different ways that we are now bringing together. And one other one which I want to identify is we are establishing what's called data marketplace. So if you see app store or a marketplace type of ecosystems that you see on various different platforms, we are taking the same approach. Is that while as an enterprise we will publish our apps or which are data sets for anybody to consume, other business areas can also publish their own data or apps for everybody's consumption. So that is a natural way of we are enabling collaboration from the data, from a technology, and from a process and communication perspective. I mean, that's how we're going through four different ways of enabling that.
No, thank you for sharing. It looks like you're doing all some very, very cool things in bringing such a challenging environment together. And data marketplace is something really fun as well. We are seeing a lot of it catch up with various industries and client locations too. I'd love to chat more on that particular topic at another time. With the adoption of the emerging technologies, like AI and machine learning, among others, there's so much of influence on data management and analytic strategies. Would love to get your take on what your focus is on this side of the emerging technologies.
Definitely. I think before I jump into how on the data management space or call it on the analytics space, how emerging technology we are adopting, I want to set that in the backdrop of how as Thrivent we are building momentum in really our journey to transform to digital first and a client first organization. So that's at the root of that. And of course, we have a long way to go. We began in earnest a couple of years ago, and we are expanding our digital presence. But a lot of the digital presence beyond the storefront of the digital is all about driving with insights and driving, being able to personalize experiences for both our advisors who are really providing that, offering our products and services and financial advice to our clients, but also clients for their to self-service. So we are adopting, as I mentioned, we are on the path of our digital first and a client first organization experiences. And coming to adoption of the let's call it within the data management space, what we are calling it machine learning or AI, or now the new kid on the block, generative AI, right? But you have to understand, as an industry, insurance industry as an industry has been leveraging statistical modeling for as long as even before the computers existed, I would call it, right? Definitely a lot of the pricing actuaries used it to create the pricing, to see what price can be offered for what type of a risk based on what different various factors should be. Underwriting has been utilizing this, And there are a lot of financial instrument, financial analysis used in this modeling techniques for a long period of time. But they've used statistical modeling and different means over a period of time. The technology applied to that has changed. So the machine learning and some of the statistical modeling are at the root of what we do for now, I mean, decades. But what we are doing is now we started adopting AI, let's call it AI and machine learning, and we've been really, I think, some of the areas that where we apply this is establishing good customer segmentation and establishing I mean, creating those, let's call it, personalized experiences in terms of next best actions to our advisors so that they can serve the clients better, but also next best advisor, next best offers to our clients. I mean, we are in the process of actually going down that path. We are also improving our underwriting using machine learning to wherever the underwriting processes there that which would have gone through previous rules-based processes. Now we are applied machine learning, and we have seen a significant reduction in the manual reviews that are necessary. So accelerated underwriting is another place. And of course, that's with the, let me call it the traditional or classic AI. Now coming to the generative AI, we definitely have been considering that. We have definitely kept it open for our company. We did not shut it down. Rather, we said go ahead and use it and explore it, and we established some common sense guidelines. I know information security within our company and the privacy office and us as technology and data come together to provide that common set of guidance. But also we are educating, we are providing right education opportunities, experimentation opportunities using both enabling technologies, which are more managed and call it secure. So we are going down that path, but some of the examples that some of the areas of use cases we are going after is search and summarization, like enhanced search and summarization with a lot of content. I know this is probably, Savio, you hear this a lot, that this is the most used and successful, let's call it, use case in the industry. And personalized experiences, eventually we want to go there. And of course, cybersecurity, defense, and fraud prevention is another great area that there are opportunities. So we started small. So I'm not saying that we are further like some of the companies which established a big virtual assistants, but we are going down that path. We are encouraging experimentation. We are encouraging applying the right tool. So, but end of the day, it's not about running after the shiny tool. So we have a process or a discipline to talk about. Do you need a large language model or some foundational model which is complex to solve your use case or a problem that you're solving? Or is it something that you're just going after because it's shiny? And oh, by the way, this need to be purpose driven, that it need to either enable our advisor experience or client experience or make something significantly better. So that's how we approach, and that's how we provide opportunity, but also we provide the right type of guidelines and controls needed.
Say you have your hands full with all the interesting things that you're doing, and
Absolutely.
all the right use cases. Hitting the nail on its head there, and as we're seeing in across the industry. I've been speaking with Shravan Kasarla, Chief Data Officer at Thrivent. Please look for part 2 of this series right here on CDO Magazine, where we'll continue the discussion on emerging technologies, influence on data management and analytic strategies. Thank you so much, Shravan.
Thank you. Thank you, Savio.
Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.